everybody, it's Derek with The Ultimate Hang, and I'm back in the video seat, and I want to show you a hammock that I've been testing for the last month. Surprise, surprise, I got one from none other than JungleNest Outfitters. This is the new version of their JungleNest. Now, a couple of years ago, probably several actually, I got to test the original JungleNest from ENO. Here it is. I still have it because at the time, it's a pretty good hammock. It's solidly built. The original JungleNest, however, when I first got it, this was, ENO's real first steps into a true camping hammock with an integrated bug net and all the bells and whistles they could throw at it. And it compared, in my opinion, and you can look at my review, to other similarly built, what I call entry-level camping hammocks. It's heavy, it's bulky, very durable. In fact, my son used this a lot for summer camps. I just knew it was bomb-proof. I wasn't worried about him, tearing it apart. But not exactly the one that I would compare to the most, elegant, comfortable camping hammocks, also known as the cottage vendors. So, fast forward to today. The JungleNest, I'm gonna call this JungleNest 2.0 from ENO, is a fantastic upgrade. In fact, this thing has been completely rebuilt. There is no comparison at all to the original JungleNest, and I was delighted by all of the changes. In fact, the first thing that surprised me when I pulled this out of the bag was how light it was compared. I mean, you could just physically pulling it out of the box, I knew that there was something completely different. In fact, I had kind of, to be honest with you, kind of written off ENO as just, it's a great brand, it's a great recreational brand. People love ENOs, no questions there. But in terms of my own personal preference of, as a camping, a legitimate, serious camping hammock, no, I'd kind of written them off. And when they reached out to me to review this upgraded version, I'm like, okay, I'll take a look at it. But I was really expecting something more like this. The 2.0 JungleNest no longer compares at all to any of those beginner level or kind of recreational camping hammocks. This guy competes, in my opinion, with cottage vendors. And to prove it, I want to show you some of the specs. So let's start off with the specs on the JungleNest. So the JungleNest, the capacity is 300 pounds. It uses a nice 40D ripstop nylon. It's very comfortable, very smooth, has a nice hand to it. Not a ton of stretch, but just enough that I slept flat and I slept comfortable. So good fabric. The dimensions are also a lot bigger than the original. This competes now. It's a 10-foot long hammock, which I know some guys are out there, 11-foot, 12-foot hammocks, great. But at a 10-foot hammock with the right width, listen to this, a 120 by 58, and it comes in at 20 ounces. It has a removable bug net, so you can take, well, not completely removable, but not detachable, right? But you can unzip it, stuff it up into the stuff sack, and have an open hammock. So I compared this to similarly spec'd cottage vendors and other big box brands to show you how it compares. I'm gonna set it up and show you some of the features. One of the things, though, I do want to share is I also got to test the Helios straps. These are also new from ENO. And you can look at this. This is like my favorite style of straps. Long enough, packs down small, lightweight. I did add some Dutch wear bling because it made it that much easier to set up, but it just has loops on the end. It's basically a strap plus a whoopee sling. But the way they have the whoopee slings is a little bit different than a lot of people put them on, which actually worked really well. I'm gonna show you here in a second. So without further ado, let's go set up the JungleNest 2.0. Check it out. Thank you, guys. They have done a knockout job on dialing this hammock. This is not your typical ENO fabric. This fabric has been completely redesigned. It's a 40D micro ripstop with a nice bug net that matches it. And Not only have they saved weight here, but they've improved the comfort, the stretch, everything is fantastic on this. This is a hammock that you want to sleep in, that I've wanted to sleep in. And you can see here, the design on the bug net is actually pretty cool. They have tailored the bug net to fit. It is not a full, like in the original JungleNest. This actually has been cut down, and it's what I would consider a fitted bug net. So it lays either asymmetrically on either side. You can lay left to right, right to left. It's fantastic. The zipper, I don't know if any of you have had trouble with zippers clogging or snagging. I love the zippers. Look at this. The zippers on this are just fantastic. They are smooth. I've never had a snagging problem. It never binds. And I love the attention to detail here. If any of you have followed me for a while, you know that I'm a stickler for these kinds of details. They've taken off the metal ringlet on this, and I've actually got just a zipper pull tied right into this. This is great little weight savings. Just little things like this make it really easy to use this hammock and make it really nice. Now, the hammock does come with, you can see this sleeve right here for a little lightweight aluminum pull. It helps to pull out the bug net. I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I was a little skeptical, thinking, I don't know if I'm ever going to use this. I've seen bug nets with those before. You know, they're kind of marginal in how they work, but I was actually really surprised and delighted on how well it works. The pull is actually pretty small. It's also, you can see it's curved here, and it fits in with a snap enclosure right here. So let me put that on for you real quick and show you how easy that is to put together. And then just snap closed. Now, you don't need this pull, but it actually works really well when you're inside the hammock. It pulls that bug net away from your face and away from your head without using side tie out. The entire setup is just over a pound, I think around 20 ounces. There's no strings or any other attachments. You just have these two attachment points, the bug net, and everything is set out for you. And with that ridge line, everything is set. Now, a quick look on the inside. There are a couple of storage places. Here on the side, you've got a handy spot for about as much as maybe a headlamp or a smartphone. On what I consider the head end of the hammock, where you've got the bug net spreader bar, it's a nice ridgeline loft here. I wish it went all the way up, to be honest. There's a little bit of a gap up here, so it's easy to like toss things in here that will just fall through. But if you're careful, and I didn't really have any huge problems, you know, even though there is a gap, not a big deal. I wish it were just a little bit bigger though. You know, I can fit maybe a book up here. Here's another really cool feature. There's a little loop here that keeps the ridge line and this spreader bar centered so that it never goes asymmetric on you. That way it keeps that bug net always shifted off of you just perfectly. Now let's talk about the stuff sack. This is another huge win for me. I love Bishop bags. ENO has really done a great job. A lot of attention to detail here. A very simple opening here at the top with their nice lightweight cordage. But what I really love is how they've tucked away on the end of the Bishop bag. You can see here you've got the buttonhole for the one end, but they've also got this little flap here. So when everything is tucked away, it kind of hides the end of that connection and makes for a nice clean finish for this hammock when it's all stowed away. And again, the stuff sack doubles as the storage for the bug netting if you want to store it, which is a great way to make multi-use out of that stuff sack. Depending on how you sleep, there are zipper pulls on both sides, so you can enter on either side and zip it up however you'd like, which is really cool. The zippers travel all the way around the head end and terminate back here at the foot end. So if you do not need the bug net, it's really easy to just stuff it into the stuff sack. One of the other things I really like about the Helios suspension is the built-in drip line. Because of the way that they've turned the whoopee sling this way, not only do you get an automatic drip line with the tail of the whoopee sling, you also have this little tag. I don't know if they really designed it to be this, but this little tag acts as a nice little wick, and also the toggle. I've got another video, you can see this in real life, where I videotaped myself in the rain with, I've got water coming down the suspension and it gets arrested at each of these spots. No water comes down. So when you've got your tarp suspended over the suspension, there's always a little bit of water that's going to come down this line, and the Helios suspension does a fantastic job of arresting that water and diverting it away from the hammock before it ever reaches the suspension. One way that I've tried to eliminate some of the wasted space is wrapping this strap a couple of times around my anchor point, I should say, which is my tree here. So this is one way that you can suck up some of the extra strap, you might say, and extra length that you have. Of course, the whoopee sling will adjust to a certain point. You've got just over a foot. In some whoopee slings, it's over 18 inches long, where if you have a short hang, in other words, the trees are really close together, that makes whoopee slings not a great choice because of that limited adjustability. So these work great if you have trees that are a little bit further apart like I have here today. You can easily hang a tarp over this. The JungleNest is an awesome hammock. I hope that you guys will take a second look at it. All right, so here's a feature, not really of the ENO at all, but just hammocks in general. So I'm out here filming. It's 107 degrees outside. I'm in the shade, so it's not horrible, but my camera is overheating, so I'm taking a little break. But what I love about hammocks is the convective cooling. So the moisture from my body with the airflow surrounding this hammock actually keeps me nice and cool. So a huge plus for hammocks. I love it.